This lens right here is the Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 VXD G2. Did I get that right? It's the predecessor to the very popular Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 RDX. And yeah, if you watch this channel at all, you know for a fact that that is a lens that I use all the time in my videos. I think it's an excellent all-around budget lens for Sony E Mount cameras, mirrorless cameras, or cinema cameras. So when the V2 came out, or the G2 rather, not version 2, it's called G2. But anyways, when the G2 came out, when the second version of that lens came out, I knew I had to get it. First, let's start out with a disclaimer. I don't know if my channel is big enough to have to do disclaimers, but I'm just gonna do one just in case. Tamron didn't send me this lens. I bought this lens with my own money off of Amazon. It's actually off of Amazon warehouse, so it's technically used. I'm sure the box was damaged, like it's whatever. But anyways, this lens wasn't sent to me. No money changed hands. No one paying me to do this. All opinions are my own. And I just bought this lens because I love the original Tamron 28-75, and there's a new version out, so I want it and I want to see how they compare. And already as I'm feeling this lens, and of course this is just an unboxing, it's not a full detailed review, but already as I'm feeling this lens, I noticed some distinct differences. This obviously isn't a distinct difference. You get this with the first lens. But the first thing I noticed is this lens has a USB-C port and it has a custom function button. And I've also noticed that unlike the last Tamron 28-75mm lens, which is actually what I'm filming with right now, which is completely flat with no ridges or edges along the lens, this lens actually has bumps and ridges, so the focus ring is defined and pulled out. And then here there's like a little ridge you can see. There's a little ridge right there that leads up to the zoom ring. So that is actually kind of nice. It feels nicer to hold in my hand having those. It's a kind of a place for my fingers to grip around, which is nice. The lens is still made of plastic like the last Tamron 28-75mm lens, but I have done a bit of research, so I know that this one is apparently supposed to be better weather sealed than the previous. I was definitely sketched out by the first version of the Tamron 28-75mm. I definitely wouldn't have used it in rain, and it worried me a little bit if I was ever going to get caught in precarious weather conditions with that lens. This lens, I guess I don't need to worry as much. Also of note, the thread on this lens, it's still 67mm. I see it says it right here. I don't know if you can see that text. No. This lens has the same thread size, so if you have any filters that you want to carry over from that last lens to this one, this lens can take them, no problem. So now for the question you're probably wondering, what makes the VXD G2 version of the Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 lens better than the RDX version? What's the difference in price, and why have I chosen to upgrade from the Tamron 28-75mm 2.8 RDX, which I love so much, and I'm filming with right now, like I already said, to the VXD G2? Well, firstly, this new version of the lens has a faster focusing motor. I personally didn't mind the autofocus performance of the Tamron 28-75mm 2.8, like the first one. And I don't think many people did because it was a very popular lens. And from my experience, it performed just as well as Sony lenses autofocusing. But apparently this is better. So I'm gonna have to actually like bring this lens into the field and put that to a test to find out, to see if at least the difference is noticeable. This lens is also apparently 10 grams lighter than the first version. Not that 10 grams is any substantial difference, but I think this lens has a good weight to it, just like the last one, so certainly no complaints there. Also, the zoom, when fully extended like this, is shorter on this lens, the G2, than it is on the original by 8mm. So this lens stands slightly less tall than the original version. If that's something that matters to you, that's good. Like, I guess it takes up less space in your bag, which is always nice, but for me, that's not necessarily a deal breaker since the original version isn't prohibitively large or anything. But what I was really looking forward to in this, or at least one of the things I was looking forward to, is this USB-C slot right here. Apparently, and I haven't actually plugged it in and tested it yet, but apparently the deal is you can plug this lens into your computer, download firmware updates to the lens, and actually customize parts of this lens, including customizing this function button right here. And you can customize the length of the throw of the focus ring. You can actually change this from being a focus ring to an aperture ring apparently, which is pretty cool. And one thing that I found that I really wanted with the original version of the Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 that they didn't have, that I use all the time on my Sony 70-200mm lens, is a switch to go from autofocus to manual focus without messing around on the buttons. Because sometimes I'll be out in the field and there will be a shot that I want to get, but someone's in the way and the autofocus doesn't pick up on my subject, it keeps picking up on the thing that's in the way. And the other way around that is to manual focus it. And I'm perfectly fine doing that, but when I have to go into my camera and click a whole bunch of buttons on the body of the camera, it kind of distracts me from what I'm doing. And sometimes it causes me to miss part of the shot, which I don't really like. So being able to customize this button right here to switch you between autofocus and manual focus is a huge plus for me, and one of the reasons why I bought this lens. This lens apparently still focus breathes like the last one, but it's not too bad and it's usable. So like, I don't expect a lens that doesn't focus breathe at all. I've got some lenses that focus breathe so heavily that I can't even use them and it actually annoys me, but that's not supposed to be a problem with this lens, so that's sweet. It's not really a problem I had with the last lens, but any improvement in focus breathing I will always take. But now the question is, what is the price of this lens? Well, on Amazon, last I saw it for, this lens was priced at $899. That's US dollars, and all prices in this video will be in US dollars. But this lens was $899 on Amazon and B&H. And the RDX version, which is the original version, what I saw on Amazon were $799 new. Or I saw one listing, and I don't know if this listing is still going to be available by the time I'm posting this, but it was definitely there when I went to record this video. But there's one listing that was showing the old version of the lens for $719, and that was a renewed lens, so not perfectly new, but this is also a renewed lens and it looks pretty good in my opinion. So I'll leave links to everything in the description for the old lens and the new lens. You can go check them out down there. They are going to be affiliate links, which means that if you click on them and decide that you want to purchase either the old Tamron 28-75 or the new one, I will get a small kickback from Amazon at no additional cost to you. So I would greatly appreciate that if you're going to make a purchase, you use those links. But even if you're going to buy this lens for $899, or you're debating between the renewed older lens for $799 and maybe the $719 if it's still available, then the question is, do you care about having this custom button? Do you care about having customization over the focus ring? And you care about having supposedly, and I still need to bring this into the field and test this, so a slightly sharper image on the corners with this new version than you did with the old version. I actually noticed that with the old version, the corners of my image would be less sharp, so I oftentimes center frame my subject, and then when I crop for socials, like in 4:5 aspect ratio, it's not that big of a deal because I'm cutting off the corners anyways. But if I'm gonna get better performance in the corners out of this lens, I'm all down for that. I do want to bring this lens into an environment where I filmed basketball videos before, and in the same conditions, with the same camera and the same settings, use this lens, the second version, and then compare that footage and see what the difference is in sharpness, if there's any. I know there's actually more scientific tests that have been done around this, and they're already on YouTube, but I just want to see for my personal enjoyment, how sharp is this for my needs as a sports videographer versus the original version? I guess we're gonna find out, only time will tell, but either way, I think that it's really awesome that Tamron upgraded this lens. The original version was obviously incredibly popular. I feel like every time I go out to a job and there's other videographers there, I see at least one other person with this lens. And I'm really looking forward to getting a lot of use out of the new version and seeing how it holds up for my everyday filming. Anyways, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel because I post videography tips and tutorial videos similar to this one, and sometimes gear reviews if there's something that I think is worthwhile that I actually use on a regular basis, and I would love to have you around for that. If you have any questions, concerns, you just want to say, hey, anything like that, go drop it down in the comment section. Again, if you want to look at either the new version of the lens or the old version, I'm going to put links in the description so you can go check them out there. They are affiliate links, like I said. And yeah, that is going to be all for this video. So until next time, peace.